Hey everyone, it's Bob Perkins coming back to you from Inside Sales Studio, another Monday Morning Sales Minute. Coming back, week number 2, the Mario Martinez, founder and CEO of Vengreso. Mario, great to have you back.
Hey man, I'm excited to be back with you. Thank you for having me. One more time.
One more time, and matching gray uniforms for this Monday. I love it.
We planned that. I sent you the note in advance.
I love it. All right. So really critical. We're talking about personalization, the human to human, as you said last week. This week, what are you going to bring to the viewers?
All right. Well, we're going to talk about what we call the PVC Sales Methodology. All right. Now, PVC, people are hearing that. Are you saying PVC as in piping?
Yeah.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about. PVC, at least the acronyms, is that. So what does that mean? Well, first, let me tell you what the P, the V, and the C stand for, and then let me help you break that down. Is that okay, Bob?
Absolutely.
All right. In our PVC sales methodology, the P stands for personalization.
Perfect.
Okay? The V stands for value. We got to give value. And the C is have a call to action. Okay. So in that P, there's 2 ways to personalize your outreach to a buyer. Well, there's many ways, but using the P for the personalization, there's 2 ways. You can either personalize to the individual buyer, or you can personalize to the buyer persona. Let me explain. Yeah. If I were to personalize a specific outreach to you, Bob, I might look at languages you might speak, and I'll give you an example of what I might do with that. We might look at current events that are happening. Maybe your company won an award. We might look at something that you specifically published that I'm going to bring into a topic of conversation that is relevant to the business problem that I solve, okay?
Yeah.
Now that's hyper-personalization, and the reality is not everybody is socially engaged, so therefore you might not be able to find something. But I do believe that in most cases you can find something from the company that you can bring some personalization to, all right? Let's just pretend, though, that there's zero, Bob, absolutely zero. Nothing on the company, nothing on the individual, nothing that you're posting, nothing in your profile that I can glean from, that I can personalize to you to create conversation. Now we move on to what's called personalization to the buyer persona. Now, I want you to think about this. Anybody who's listening, you should be able to, whatever product you sell, whatever service you sell, you should be able to answer in 1 sentence, maybe 2, how do you help your buyer?
Right.
For example, Vengreso, we help sales teams create more sales conversations with more qualified buyers through digital sales training.
Yeah.
Period. That's what we do. What do we do? Help create more sales conversations. Right. So when we think about our buyer persona, we've got to personalize to the buyer persona. And generally, when we create outreach, we want to be able to speak to, if not them, then what's the business problem that we might solve? Right. Give you an example. Let me give you an example. I might reach out to you as a sales leader, Bob, and I might say, hey, Bob, generally when I work with senior vice president of sales, such as sales leaders such as yourself, there are 2 problems they're trying to solve. Number 1, they want to be able to create more sales conversations for their sellers to increase sales pipeline.
Yeah.
And number 2 might be create better content for their sellers to be able to engage with their buyers, right? Or whatever, you pick whatever it might be.
Yep.
So if you focus in on that buyer persona pain, as soon as I, as a buyer, receive that, I'm going to make a decision, a very quick decision. Either I have this problem or I don't. And I'm not going to waste time with engaging if that's not a problem that I'm looking to solve. And that's where we get into a lot of problems. So either personalizing to the buyer or I'm personalizing to the buyer persona. Now, once we've done that opening, that greeting, now we're going to move into the V, give value. We're going to bring value. And this is one of the hardest things for sales reps to do, is to say, well, what's valuable to my particular buyer? Okay, the answer is, what is the business problem that you're trying to solve with your product for your buyer persona? Whatever that business problem is, go find the great ebook, white paper, webinar, video, blog article that will help speak to how to solve that specific business problem.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So the value that we bring to the conversation is not us at first, because they don't have a trust in us yet, especially if it's cold outreach, right? They don't know who we are. Eventually they'll grow to trust our comments, our direction, our advice, but not yet. The value that we bring to them is through content. And that is why content marketing is one of the biggest elements of a marketing organization today, is to be able to drive that right content out into the marketplace, where marketers are doing it one to many, but we as sellers are doing it one to one, right? And that's that value. Bring the value to the buyer through your messaging, and bring that article. So they're now looking at the content as the authority, not necessarily you.
So if it's a pain point of, I got to get my sellers having twice as many good, deep conversations than they do today, the piece of content could be a recent article somebody published on how to get more conversations around a particular topic.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And for, in our case, a VP
Yeah.
of sales, if a VP of sales is not worried about the number of conversations prospecting that his sellers or her sellers are having, well, okay, that's no problem. Then you're not a good prospect for us, right?
Yeah. Right.
So if you've got all the conversations, if everything is inbound, pretend you're HubSpot. Everything is inbound at HubSpot, right?
And you don't need to have those outbound conversations. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't need more conversations because marketing's doing all the work. All right. Well, then you're not a target buyer of ours. And I want to know that up front. And that's why it's important to speak to the business buyer's pain and use content. And if marketing's not producing that content for you, or you're a solopreneur and into a small business, look, you got to go get that content.
Go get it.
Content. Find that content that's going to help that buyer along the journey. And that's the value, is help the buyer along the buying journey.
Okay. C. PVC.
All right.
Yeah.
I feel like I should be doing a dance, like, PVC, right? Yeah. All right. So the C is include a call to action. Now, Bob, I can't tell you. I have 100. I can't tell you how many I've had in the last 6 months, but right now I've got over 160 connection requests sitting in my LinkedIn box, of which I'm using to be able to create a really great presentation all on how to not personalize and how to personalize connection requests. Okay. So it's going to be a great keynote in the near future.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. Almost all sellers, they immediately want to go right for the jugular and have a book a meeting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What we need to remember is a call to action might include book a meeting. It might. But it might be certain scenarios where you meet the person face to face at an event. Maybe you're networking. Maybe it's a trade show, whatever it might be. Maybe it's inbound and they're saying, I want to meet with you. I want to have a conversation. That might be a different scenario. But in most cases, when you're reaching out, no, the buyer does not have 15 minutes to meet with you tomorrow. Generally, you're working with an executive whose schedule is already built out 2 weeks in advance.
And they don't know who you are.
So let's think about it, what a call to action might be. The goal on social or through video or even through email is to solicit engagement. So a call to action could be ask a question to get a response. And then your goal is to move that conversation from online to offline. And that's what we call the C to C. Turn a connection into a conversation using that online to offline approach. And remember that call to action, guys, don't always have to be focused on, I got to book a meeting. No, focus on where's the buyer at, create a question that solicits engagement. And if they respond back positively, now you'll know where to go. Let me give you an example. I might reach out to you, Bob, and I might say, hey, Bob, normally when working with sales leaders such as yourself, they have two common problems. One, they want to be able to create more sales conversations with more qualified buyers, and two, increase sales pipeline. Here's a piece of content that might be of value to what other sales leaders are doing at this specific company, as an example, case study, right? Yeah. It's a 2-minute long video that speaks to how they were able to increase the number of sales conversations by whatever it might be. Or it might be a blog article or a white paper. I might close it with this. Instead of asking for the meeting, I might say, are these two problems areas that you're challenged by? And allow the buyer to be able to respond back with, yes, it is a problem, or no, it's not. Because once you got the yes, now you have the opportunity to move that into a conversation.
And they can be highly specific, especially if you do your a little pre-call research. You might know this particular sales leader is in this industry. Therefore, boy, there's a universal pain out there. And you can really go, I'm talking to a lot of other leaders like yourself, what's come up through their conversations. Research is indicating this. Are you finding the same thing? It's that
I love this one. This one came when I used to be a global account manager, and I used to sell to a Fortune now 6 company. It was a Fortune 14 then. And I had a solid relationship with the global CIO, direct report to the CEO, right? $120 billion company. And he said to me, you can't get into my office because of what you just want to get in here. What I want to know is if you really want to get in and you want to have a meeting right away, tell me you have information about what the competition might be doing that I could take advantage of.
I love it. Yeah.
Right. And that's something we got to think about, right? If we have, we would never mention by client name, like, and call up, say we sold to competitor A and then turn around and call competitor B and say, hey, I want to let you know that competitor A is doing this. And we wouldn't say that exactly.
Right.
What we would say is, I'm here to talk to you about some of the trends that are happening that you may not be aware of, that are putting you at a competitive disadvantage with companies like, and you might be able to say those things, right?
Excellent. Mario, I know this went over time. It's supposed to be the Monday Morning Sales Minute. So viewers, thank you for bearing with us. There was some really, really good information in here, but I would ask you, Mario, if anyone wants to reach out to continue this conversation, to learn more about your thoughts on this topic, best way to contact you or your team.
Well, go to Vengreso.com, Vengreso, that's one S, Vengreso.com. And certainly catch me around on LinkedIn or on Twitter. Send me, please, a personalized connection request message and say you heard me on Inside Sales Studios from AAISP with Bob Perkins.
I love it. And get out to Mario's LinkedIn. There's some great conversation happening there. I learn a lot from it. And I know we go back and forth sometimes on each other's posts, and that's a lot of fun. So, Mario, thanks a lot. Everyone, thanks for sticking with us today. Until next week, good selling and good personalizing.
Thanks, Bob.
Bye-bye.